The unemployment insurance benefit just increased significantly in New York State, and it was long overdue. It was a priority for the entire union movement. So exactly how much did it increase? Who's eligible? How long can you collect? What about the furloughed federal employees? Can they file a claim? To get those answers, our guest is the Commissioner of the Department of Labor. For the New York State AFL-CIO, I'm Darcy Wells, and this is Union Strong. Joining me on the podcast is the Commissioner of the Department of Labor, Roberta Reardon. Commissioner Reardon, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you. It's so nice to see you again.
Yes, welcome back. So we want to talk today about the unemployment insurance benefit increase. That was, as you know, a priority for the labor movement here at the New York State AFL-CIO. We're so happy that it went through. So talk to us a little bit about it. What is the increase and how did we get here?
It is such a wonderful, wonderful development. Thank you so much for your advocacy because you really, really helped push this over the finish line. Governor Kathy Hochul really understood how basic this need is. Our weekly benefit had been paused at $504 a week because of the pandemic. We had to take loans out from the federal government. There is a federal law that you cannot raise your benefit rate until you have made your trust fund solvent. So we had, I think at the highest, it was over $10 billion of debt. Businesses have been paying in, steadily to repay that debt. But we were still, had pretty high debt. And the governor in this last budget, in 2026 budget, paid off the debt $7 billion. And that allowed us to raise the maximum benefit to $869 a week, which is what it would have been had we not had the pandemic. And I want to salute the AFL-CIO for your tenacity and for your pointing out the need for that benefit to be at that rate. That was very, very important. And in today's economy, who can live on $504 a week? Nobody.
Right. So it went from $504 to over $800.
Yeah. And that's the maximum benefit rate.
Right.
A lot of people earn less than the maximum on their unemployment insurance benefit. But I think 57% of people last week, we had a 30% increase in the money that went out. And we know that 57% of the people receiving benefits last week saw an increase. 27% of those people saw the maximum. So this is going to have real impact. That money goes right back into your community for your groceries, for transportation, for basic needs, for rent or mortgage payment. It is a generator for the local community as well as that individual.
And how do people, we're doing this right now to raise awareness, but otherwise, how would people know? How are they alerted that there's an increase?
Well, we have been doing a lot of communications everywhere. We have a lot of extensive social media, Facebook, Instagram, you name it, press stories. The governor has had rallies. We had a rally with Mario Salento recently downtown in New York City about it.
And Governor, I would say in a day and age in politics where we have empty words and empty promises, you have shown once again that you all are about deed and action. And Governor, you took action on behalf of the working people of the state, and we thank you for that.
And
that means
we've just done everything we can. Businesses know, we've reached out to advocates, church groups, any way we can to help people understand that this is coming. Now, the important thing is this is happening, but the people who are already on unemployment don't have to do anything in order for that increase to happen. It's automatic. So if it's a formula and it just is reset, and they probably got an increase in their check last week if they were eligible.
Okay, and this started right at the beginning of October.
October.
Okay.
It went in effect the first Monday of October. The following Monday, Monday was a bank holiday, so the following Tuesday, the money began to show up in people's checks.
Okay, and what about increases moving forward from here?
So the increases for the maximum benefit rate is actually set in law. And again, thanks to the AFL-CIO and a lot of advocates, in 2014, the legislature passed a pretty comprehensive Unemployment Insurance Reform Act. And part of that was to reset how the benefit rates were figured. There's a formula for it. And it involves how much money is in the trust fund, what's in the economy, but it's an automatic increase. So depending on what the factors are, it will automatically go up. That's how we knew that it would have been at $869.
Right. If not for that,
Yeah.
that debt. So, I'm thinking right now of the federal employees. There have been so many who have been laid off, certainly through no fault of their own. Are they included in this? If you work in New York State and you're a federal employee,
Yes.
they will get this.
We know that we have about 115,000 federal employees in the state, and they are all eligible. I mean, for the most part, there may be some people who are not covered, but for the most part, they are eligible. And I will say for the furloughed workers, first of all, everybody needs to remember you have a 1-week mandatory waiting week, and you do not get paid for that week. So calculate that when you're going to, do your claim. There'll be a week without payment, and then you'll start to get money. If you're laid off, your regular unemployment, it comes out of a federal fund for federal workers. If you're fired, if it's a RIF, reduction in force, you'll get a document that says you're part of a RIF, and we need to have that document, and then we can process your claim.
Okay. And then if they, once they do go back to work, do they have to pay that money back?
Yes, if they get their money back, if they're made whole from the work that they missed, the paychecks that they missed, they will absolutely have to pay back the unemployment insurance. But if they don't get that money back, they don't have to. It's like any other insurance fund, you don't have to pay it back.
Right. Now, you mentioned the 1-week waiting period, which reminds me of the other part of this change, and that has to do with workers who go on strike. And we all know, that's a last resort. Nobody wants to be on strike. But should that happen, talk to me about the changes there, too.
This is really exciting. So, I think when I first became commissioner, which, believe it or not, was 10 years ago, I think that it was at like 7 or 8 weeks. It was quite extensive. And so that was brought down to 3 weeks. And this year, we brought it down to 1 extra week. So everybody has a mandatory waiting week. If you're on strike, there's 1 extra week, and then you can begin to collect benefits, which is really, really helpful. I mean, nobody wants to be on strike, and nobody wants to live on unemployment. But, if you're out, and this is really through no fault of your own, this is the failure of negotiation, you're eligible.
So let's talk about eligibility. I'm sure there's several factors that you have to tick off showing that you're eligible. And I don't know if it's easier to say who isn't eligible. I'll let you handle that. How do you work through that process?
So the terminology is that you must be an employee and you must have left your job through no fault of your own. That's actually a term of art. And that means that you are paid as an employee or not a 1099 contractor in general. There are some people that do get covered. And you can't, flip the table over and walk out in a rage. That would be your fault. But if you're arbitrarily fired, if your plant closes, if you're put on furlough, that's no fault of your own and you're eligible. I always tell people, if you're not sure that you're due unemployment, fill out a claim and let us tell you whether you are or not. There are very, very set things that say that you are eligible. And the formula is based on your work history and the amount of money that you make in a certain period. It's not the entire year. I think it's a quarter. I'm not sure. It's changed recently.
How long can you collect the unemployment benefits?
Currently, it's 26 weeks.
Okay.
We only go into extended benefits, like during the pandemic, when there's an emergency. And we've had people, since the pandemic, go on unemployment and then say, hey, where's my extended benefits? Well, that's only when, and an emergency is a term of art. And that's a declaration, I think, by the federal government. I don't think we determine that. So we can't arbitrarily.
That has to go in place first.
And
okay.
if we do that, it's for everybody. We've had people say, well, my circumstances are this thing, it's special, but we can't do it for a particular industry or a particular employer. It's statewide.
Okay, and I'm sure people can find out more on the DOL website.
Yes.
Before I let you go, is there anything else that we should be focusing on that DOL is doing?
Well, I've been doing a lot of public speaking lately just in support of the Governor Kathy Hochul's agenda of affordability. It's so critical right now. And I know when she first became governor, that's what she led with. And I think at the time people were like, now, everybody's talking about affordability. And the maximum benefit rate increase is very much a part of that. She wants to make sure that people can live, work, and raise a family in the beautiful state of New York. And affordability is key. We all know kitchen table issues, which bills am I going to pay? Can I afford to get childcare for my children to go back to work? Are my kids going to go to college? How am I going to handle that? Can I take a vacation? How much is my health care going to cost? All of that is affordability. And she is incredibly focused on it. And I know, because she and I recently spoke about this, in this time of turmoil in the country over all of these issues, her message to New Yorkers is, we are here to make sure that you can get the services that you have always received from the state of New York to our best of our ability. And she is trying her best to make sure that we can get through this difficult period with as little disruption as possible, understanding that we're not in control of everything. But she really understands how people get buffeted by these changes in regulations and, cost.
Well, Commissioner Reardon, thank you for coming back on the podcast. It's nice to spend some time with you, and we appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Joining me on the podcast is Liz O'Neill. Hi, Liz.
Hi, Darcy.
So the commissioner had a lot of useful information, as she usually does when she comes on the podcast. But we mentioned the DOL website. There's a ton of information there as well.
Yeah, it's a great resource. We're talking about unemployment insurance benefits, and gone are the days of, having to go in person or sit on the phone. You can do it all online, which is, huge time and frustration savings for folks going through a frustrating time or a scary time. So we'll put that link in the show notes, their website. So it's easily accessible for everyone listening to the podcast.
All right, very good. Thanks, Liz.
Thanks, Darcy.
This has been a production of the New York State AFL-CIO. Our president is Mario Salento. Our secretary-treasurer is Terry Melvin. We're a federation of 3,000 unions representing 2.5 million union members, retirees, and their families, with one goal: to raise the standard of living and quality of life of all working people. We keep New York State unions strong by fighting for better wages, better benefits, and better working conditions. For more information on the labor movement in New York, visit nysaflcio.org. Until next time, stay union and stay strong.